Welcome back to some of the harshest footage in the wild world. Across ice and snow that seem completely still, a hunt quietly begins. The polar bear does not rely on speed. It hunts with patience and relentless endurance. Every step forward is a trade-off between vital energy and the single opportunity of the day. And when prey finally appears, even the smallest mistake can shape the outcome for both sides. The disturbance spreads as the walrus herd reacts at once to a perceived threat. Within the confusion, the polar bear watches closely, selecting a target amid overlapping movement. But thick skin and massive size quickly turn advantage into risk. Each close approach drains valuable energy. The hunt ends when the cost outweighs any possible gain. The polar bear does not chase through the freezing water. It remains still, allowing time and current to do the work. Rising tides carry a moment calculated in advance. In the Arctic, patience often outperforms speed. A safe distance is broken in a single careless moment. The polar bear responds instantly, without a testing phase. Pressure is applied from the very first second. In polar conditions, misplaced curiosity can turn dangerous immediately. The mother polar bear detects the threat before the cubs react. She moves forward, refusing to let the distance close. Her resolve forces the opponent to reassess the risk. In critical moments, protective instinct can reverse the entire situation. Without a mother nearby, a cub learns in a different way. A small object becomes an early test of focus and patience. Each attempt is a step toward understanding the unforgiving world ahead. Against the white expanse, the polar bear blends almost completely into the snow. Every movement is low and deliberate, leaving as little trace as possible. The seal remains still, unaware of the change nearby. When distance disappears, any chance to recover vanishes as well. In the Arctic, silence is the sharpest tool. Hunger pushes the polar bear toward choices with no easy retreat. A steep ice face becomes the only possible approach. Each hold is weighed against balance and body mass. At the edge of extreme cold, adaptability determines who still has a chance to endure. A sudden presence throws the entire herd into confusion. The bear uses the brief loss of formation to close the distance. A young individual, slower and less experienced, becomes the most visible weakness. The pursuit ends quickly. In group dynamics, a single delayed step can make all the difference. An Arctic fox quietly appears at the edge of the bear's range. There is no contest, only patient waiting for what remains after the hunt. Distance is always kept just wide enough to survive. This is not cooperation, but a careful survival strategy. A faint scent trapped beneath thick ice does not escape the polar bear's senses. It stops, listens, then focuses its effort on a single point. The ice gives way exactly where it was anticipated. In the Arctic, hunting is a contest of perception and patience. The approach unfolds between icy water and uncertain distance. The polar bear chooses its moment, but the environment does not favor the attempt. The opportunity slips away within a few brief beats. Not every effort leads to a reward. A storm erases familiar signs across the landscape. The polar bear moves more slowly, each step consuming its remaining energy. Not every hunt ends with success. At times, the greatest challenge is not finding prey, but enduring prolonged hunger. Within heavy mist, the polar bear selects a target from a dense walrus colony. Look out, but thick fat and tough skin quickly turn effort into exhaustion. The extended standoff gradually shifts advantage to the walrus. Once back in the water, they regain full control. Not every predator prevails outside its preferred terrain. A male bear moves too close, crossing a critical boundary. The mother responds immediately, taking initiative without hesitation. Her resolve applies direct psychological pressure. The cubs remain behind her, within a zone where control is never released. The bear pulls the young moose away from the forest edge, where the risk of detection is higher. The mother pauses for a brief moment, then instinct forces a choice. A direct confrontation with a stronger predator carries irreversible risk. Withdrawal here is not weakness, but a decision made to continue surviving. When play ends, survival lessons begin under the mother's watchful eye. Each step on the ice is more than movement. It is training in balance and judgment. The cubs learn to observe, wait, and conserve energy. Heading out onto the ice with their mother marks an important milestone in their growth. The scent of fresh eggs above triggers opportunistic foraging behavior. A mother bear approaches the nest as the eagle pair issues repeated warnings. Height alone is not enough to stop a skilled climber. The food source is used quickly. In the wild, alertness alone is not always enough to protect a nest. A snowstorm erases familiar outlines across the Arctic landscape. A massive body and thick fat layer become the only shield. Each step reflects thousands of years of adaptation. The beauty here lies not in calm, but in the ability to endure chaos. As food grows scarce, boundaries within the population begin to shift. The arrival of a male brings heavy survival pressure. The mother keeps her distance, shielding her cubs from a defensive position. In times of shortage, strength and boldness often shape the outcome. A large walrus resting on the sand heightens alertness. The mother approaches, assessing the situation before committing. Long tusks and a clear warning stance quickly change the balance. The risk becomes unmistakable. She chooses to withdraw, guiding her cubs toward a safer path forward. Faint shapes beneath the ice draw quiet attention. The polar bear waits patiently for a moment when prey surfaces near the ice edge. The opening is brief and demands perfect timing. But the ocean remains the final refuge, and this time, the plan ends in silence. As the ice retreats, familiar hunting grounds disappear with it. The polar bear becomes increasingly isolated, conserving every unit of energy. Along a narrow stretch of shoreline, adult males are forced into close proximity. This is not a sudden clash, but a test of the strength that still remains. The sudden appearance of a black bear breaks the herd's formation in an instant. In the confusion, one smaller boar falls behind the others. The moment reflects the harsh reality of natural selection in the wild. The threat is detected before it can close in. The mother bear steps forward, choosing not to retreat, but to re-establish safe distance. Her determination forces the opponent to reassess the risk. In critical moments, maternal instinct can shift the entire balance. One polar bear rolls playfully in the snow, while the other watches in silence. The contrast reflects different temperaments and energy levels. Observation itself is another way of engaging with the world. Control is established quickly through overwhelming strength, but once true weight comes into play, the real challenge begins. Each dragging step becomes a trade-off between endurance and patience. Some hunts only begin after the prey has already been restrained. The caribou faces the threat with steady antlers, holding a fragile balance. The mother grizzly does not rush, gradually guiding the encounter toward the familiar river. Terrain begins to speak louder than strength. In nature, the winner is often the one who chooses the right place to conclude. Two massive figures pause within contested ground. Each movement tests balance, weight, and resolve. Living space becomes the ultimate prize. When advantage becomes clear, the weaker side withdraws to survive. Not every meal begins with pursuit. On the sandy shore, the grizzly digs in slow, deliberate motions. Curved claws work like perfectly adapted tools. In the wild, patience itself is a form of hunting. And that brings this icy hunt to a close. In a world where every decision is tied to survival, there is no room for error. If viewers want to continue following the most intense hunts of polar bears and the wild, they can support the channel by liking and sharing the video and subscribing to avoid missing the next remarkable moments.